All right. Hey, good evening, everyone. How you doing? This is Kerwin Phillip with the Youth Business Exchange, and we're here this evening with Miss Marcy Williams to discuss the necessary steps to get your business started. Last week we did a workshop on business plans, but now we want to take it to the next level. And what are the steps to register your business, within the state of Virginia or whichever state that you're in? So let me introduce our presenter today. This is Miss Marcy Williams. And Marcy is the founder and CEO of two organizations. The first one being Commonwealth Management and Consulting, LLC. And the second is College and Career for Youth. She is also an adjunct professor at VCU, an accomplished author, an active member of the community. She received her bachelor's in business from VCU and a master's in human resource management and a second in education from Strayer. So at this point in time, I want to introduce Miss Marcy Williams. How you doing?
I'm wonderful. Good evening. How are you?
I'm good.
Good.
Now, can you tell us about those two organizations that you're the founder of?
Absolutely. So first of all, thank you for having me this evening. I hope everyone is faring well, given the state of our country and our world. But yes, as stated, I am the founder and CEO of One Commonwealth Management and Consulting. And that is a small consulting firm that is geared at helping business owners and organizations develop strategic direction to move forward to grow. It started a few years ago as marketing. I'm also a graphic designer. So doing some marketing, billboards, flyers, and full marketing strategies for organizations. And in doing that, I also do training. So staff development for organizations like Virginia Union University. I'm a professor at VCU, so definitely training there. But then also looking at some of the strategy behind getting started on the right path.
Okay.
So that's my goal with Commonwealth Management. And then with College and Career for Youth, that is my nonprofit organization, started in 2005. So this is year 15.
Oh, wow.
We started as a need to help young people prepare for college. Since that time, we've grown to now providing more services around youth development, dealing with homelessness, dealing with educational barriers, parenting youth, those that are incarcerated, so restorative justice. So we just have a wide variety of services that we offer to young people, and one of which is also youth entrepreneurship.
Wow, great. Okay, cool. So I know you have a presentation for us today, and just want to go ahead and allow you to share that information with us.
Absolutely. So what I want to do is I'm going to share my screen, and what the goal is going to be to walk you through really high level, parents, young people, how to get started the right way in your business. And just to kind of preface this, what I've seen is a lot of young people who have these great ideas and they jump in feet first. They start to make traction, and then they find out, wait a minute, there are some things I was supposed to do before I got here. I'll give you a real quick story. Had a young lady in high school who started selling hair extensions.
Okay.
She built her own website. She started researching, purchasing, created her PayPal account, and this young lady sold $60,000 worth of hair extensions here in Richmond.
Wow.
Imagine that. You're 17 years old and you decide to sell hair right here in Richmond. Now, the issue, what occurred was she's selling these hair extensions, but she knew nothing about taxes.
Oh, wow.
And she didn't have a business license. She wasn't filed with the State Corporation Commission. So by her using PayPal, she got a bill, she got an invoice, then she got a letter, then she got something from the IRS about filing taxes and all these things. She was like, what does this mean? I don't know what to do. And we're going to speak to this. Her grandmother actually started the business in her name for her. Okay. So now the grandmother's looking at tax implications because now she has this $60,000 in income that's not taxed.
Wow.
Yeah. So I want to walk through some things to think about, parents and youth, some considerations, and definitely feel free to shout because I'm going to share my screen. I'm not sure if I can see you if you raise your hand, but we're going to work through that. Just ping me if I miss a question.
Okay, will do.
All right. So this is actually looking similar to the cover of my book. I actually published a book which is available on Barnes & Noble and Amazon called Teen Entrepreneurship, but it's really helpful for parents and youth and adults who are looking to get started as well. So let's see if we can make this work. I hope it works. Okay, let's see if we can make it. There we go. So the first question before we get into the paperwork, young people, is I want you to think about your why. Why is it that you want a business? Think about that. Say it to 8 out of 10 kids want to be their own boss. What does that mean? Typically with young people, they don't want to work for anyone because what? They don't want to be told what to do. They want to be their own boss. They look at celebrities and they see all the pop stars and the Beyoncés and the Jay-Z's who sold CDs, cassette tapes out of the trunk of his car. And they're thinking, wow, I could be like Jay-Z. Right. But the work that goes into it. I want you to first think about your why. Why is it that you want a business? What could your why be? Your why could be, I want to make a change and a difference in my community. Maybe I feel like I have more to offer and I have gifts and talents that maybe I can't qualify with a job. So for example, if you like snow, and one of my students loves snow, and he said, I want to work in snow. I love snow. I just don't know what to do with it. And I said, okay, so have you thought about being ski patrol? Have you thought about geology? Have you thought about these different things you can do with your passion? So it's understanding your why. Why is it that you really want a business? Do you want a business because you just don't want to work for anyone? Not a good reason. Okay. So I want you to think about your why. Stop for a second and think, why do I really want a business? Maybe you've seen your parents struggle. Maybe you've seen your parents get laid off from a job and you don't want to go through that as you become an adult, because parents that are listening understand that your young people are watching you. They've seen your financial struggles. They've seen the difficulty with bills. They hear about it on social media, layoffs and lockouts and all these different things happening, and they are afraid. They are afraid. So you have to help them understand their why as well. They think maybe if I have my own business, I won't deal with that. Not understanding, they will deal with something. Okay. So parents, you need to help them understand the why. For my young people, think about, what is it that I love to do? Now, we're going to jump right in because I know we don't have a lot of time, but I want you to think about the types of businesses. Now, the most popular is a LLC, a limited liability company. What that does for you is it takes the liability off of you. That means you're not responsible. You can't be sued, and no one can come into your house and take your furniture and your televisions and your car if something goes awry in your business. If you make a mistake, maybe you're doing hair and someone's hair messes up. Maybe a patch falls out, something like that. And that person decides, I'm going to sue you. Well, they can only sue your business. They cannot sue your parents. They cannot sue you and come and take your iPad and take your car if you're 17, 18 years old. So the limited liability company, it separates you from the business, okay? Which is very important because we're in a time where things can happen and you want to make sure you secure your own money and your own lifestyle by keeping it separate from your business, okay? The second type, which is not as popular, believe it or not, is sole proprietorship. And it's just that. You are the sole owner of the business. You are the owner. It's great. It's in your name. But it's tied to now your personal finances. It's tied to who you are, what you own, and everything. So same scenario, but now this allow someone to now say, hey, I want to sue you, and because you don't have any money in the bank, then I want to take your house. I want to take your car. I want to take your college fund. Okay. So sole proprietorships are not popular, and very rarely do people start a sole proprietorship because of that situation. And then finally, you have a nonprofit corporation. And those work really, really well if you're in the business of community or charity, whether it's religious, whether it's not faith-based, whether you want to feed the homeless or buy shoes or socks for everyone in the world. A nonprofit organization works well for you if you want to be invested in the community. I have a nonprofit. Mine is geared towards youth and helping them. What that allows me to do as a nonprofit is I can ask for money. I can ask individuals, I can ask companies to donate either money or products or services. And what that does is it means that I don't pay taxes on it. And you'll learn more about taxes if you're young. For my parents, they'll probably explain it to you. You don't pay taxes on it. So if something is $5 and they add taxes and it's $5.50, as a nonprofit, I don't pay the 50 cents. I just pay the $5. Okay. What that means for people that give me money is all the money that they give me, they can now claim it on their taxes. That means that they get to get credit for what they gave me. So it's kind of like a good job. You gave Khaki some money, so we're going to give you a pat on the back and we're going to give you some exemptions. And you'll learn a little bit more about taxes and exemptions as you go through the process of starting your business. So the second thing is you're thinking about, first is your why. The second is what type of business do you want? Most popular is an LLC. Second is a nonprofit, which comes with a whole lot of other laws now. It's not as simple as, oh, I want a nonprofit so people to give me stuff, because now you have other laws you have to deal with that are different from an LLC. So there's a lot more responsibility. So for you, I would say right now, let's go with the LLC, okay? All right. So the next step is you want to register your business name. Now, if you have this really cool name for your business, I would suggest a couple of things. One, Google search. Google all over the place to see if your name exists anywhere in any shape, form, or fashion, even down to the spelling. The second thing with your business name is check with your local court. Most courts have a service where you register your business name. That means that no one else in your state or your city can take that business name, and that's very important, because I see a lot of natural and holistic businesses. I see a lot of hair care, and it might be called beauty school, and then someone else might call it beauty schools with a Z, and you'll see different names. So you want to make sure if you have a really cool name, you protect it. One way to do that is to register your business name with the court system. They will look up all the businesses that have been filed to see if there's anyone with that business name. There's a fee associated with it. It can vary between $10 and maybe $25 roughly to register your business name with your local court. In addition to checking there, you want to also check, and we're going to touch on this again, the State Corporation Commission. Check them as well to see if there's a business with the same name. And that's on their website. You can do a business search for free and see what business names are out there. Why are you doing all this? Well, because one, you want to make sure you're unique. You're special, because this is your baby. You're starting right now. So you want to make sure that your business name is unique and different and no one else has it, because as you start to grow, because you will grow, that no one else can come in and say, oh, wait a minute, you took my business name. And you don't have to worry about going down the street and seeing someone else with the shirt on that has your business name on it, and you're like, oh man, I messed up. You don't want to do that. Okay. The next thing in your checklist you want to do is, I would suggest on the front end is to check with your bank. So have your parents check with their bank to see what the requirements are to open up a business bank account. Most banks require the same documents, but you want to check. I always suggest that you use a smaller bank to get started because there are smaller fees associated with a bank account that has a limited balance. If you go with the larger banks like the Wells Fargo, the Bank of America, which are great, nothing wrong with that, but make sure you understand what their fees are if you keep, say, less than $500 or less than $1,000 in a business account. Sometimes there's a fee every month. It could be $8 or $10 or more. So you want to check with the bank to see what their requirements are for the account, because you will be opening a bank account sooner than you realize, okay? Any questions so far? All right, great. So now that we've gotten to the point where we've done some research, we know why we want to start this business, we know what we're going to call it, we know our business name, we figured out some of the banking requirements, what do we need to do to save our money. Now we want to get into, let's get our paperwork in order. A lot of times young people will start these great businesses and they have done no paperwork, and then they find themselves at a situation where it's time to take it to the next level, but you may have to bring it back in a little bit because of some things you didn't do on the front end. So we want to make sure that you're doing the proper paperwork on the front end. So you want to register with certain agencies, and I've listed here just two just to think about. The IRS definitely is number one. With the IRS, you want to go online and you can register for an EIN. That is your identification number. That's your tax ID. You'll hear people call it a tax ID number. That number is tied to your business, which is very important, because you'll use that if you have a nonprofit to request funding. You'll use that if you have to send someone an invoice. You also need that to open the business bank account. That's the first thing you want to do as far as paperwork. Get your IRS in order, get your tax ID. You do that online. It is free. It takes only maybe 5 to 6 minutes to complete it. And the biggest thing I would say here is to make sure that you choose the correct business type. If you're going to be an LLC, or if you're going to be a nonprofit or a corporation, which is further down the line, I would say focus with LLC right now and look at that and make sure you complete that, okay? So here we are. We know our why. We've moved through to figuring out our business name. Now we're on the IRS website and we're applying for a tax ID. Okay, that's what we are. Okay. Now that you've gone through and you've gotten your tax ID, notice here I says federal and state tax ID. Yes, state too. Because what I found is a lot of times you'll get your federal tax ID, but there's a state form you fill out also. It doesn't necessarily get you a separate tax ID, but it registers your business as an entity. So you want to go online again, and you can do that right through your local website for your state, and you can register your business there. Okay, so that's two things we've done. We have our IRS, and we have our state tax ID, which that's a 990 form, I believe. But you can look that up and find out how you register your business. The next thing, this is number 3, is register with the State Corporation Commission. Now, talk about this. I gave you a little screenshot here of what the website looks like. Here, you're going to register a new business. So what does this business look like? So you're going to fill out the paperwork. It takes a few minutes. This is a 2-step, maybe 3-step process. You're going to register your new business using that business name you came up with. It's going to ask you now for your tax ID. That's why it's very important to do that first. They're going to ask you for your tax ID. And now let's pause here for a second. With your tax ID and your State Corporation Commission, those two things, Mom and dad, this is where you're involved. Because there are a minor, if they're under age 18, then the business technically should be in your name. However, you can add your young person's name to the tax ID as a member, okay? Not a partner, but a member, okay? The same thing with the State Corporation Commission. When you complete that paperwork, you will get to a section where it will ask you who are the members. And you can add your young person as a member, okay? There's no tax liability. There's nothing going on there. You're just listing their name if that's what you want to do, okay? So once you complete the form on the website for State Corporation Commission, okay, then you'll probably get an email back, and the email is going to ask you to submit your articles, okay? When you submit your articles, you're going to look through that. One of the biggest things I tell for people is to keep it simple. Your articles are going to ask you you're doing business as. That means that's the name of your business. Then it's going to ask you, some questions about your business, like what is your mission? What is the purpose of your business? Keep it very simple. Do not get into all of the, I wanted to start this business because, and I feel this way. Don't give them all of that. It's good to know, but for purposes of this document, you want to keep it as simple as possible. The purpose of my business is to help young people in the community by providing resources. That's it. I didn't get into all the other stuff about I want to help them with college and I want to help them with jobs. I didn't do that. That's all I did. Keep it simple. As you go through the form, it's going to ask you other questions. It's going to ask you, when did you get started? How long have you been in business? Things like that. And it's maybe like a one-page form. And you're going to complete your articles. It's going to ask you, what are your bylaws? Now, with your bylaws, think about how you're going to manage your business. Mom and dad, if the bylaws state that you will be maybe the CEO and your young person will be the executive director, you can do that. If you're going to have your mother be the tax accountant and your dad is the CEO, you can do that. Keep your structure simple though. Don't try to include everyone that you think will want to be a part of your child's business, because one, it's harder to manage. So keep your structure simple and flat. That means you'll maybe have your CEO, you may have a president and a vice president, maybe an accountant. That's it. Really simple, okay? So those are the two things we've done so far. We have our IRS filing, which we have our tax ID. We filled out our State Corporation Commission paperwork. Now, those two things, once you submit your paperwork to the State Corporation Commission, you can do that online. They're going to mail you back a document which is called Articles of Incorporation. That means you are legally allowed to do business and to make money in the state. For now, state of Virginia. You're legal. You can now make money in the state of Virginia because you are filed with the State Corporation Commission, which is great because that's what you want to do. All right. So once you file with the State Corporation Commission, let's go back a page. I still jumped ahead. After you do that, you will take your tax form, your tax ID form, which you're going to print. Once you do it on the IRS site, you will print that. Your State Corporation Commission articles, the one that they mail you back, and also the form you fill out that asks you your business name and why you're in business, those two pieces of paper. So you have three things: tax ID, State Corporation Commission application with your articles written out, and then your official article document. Those three things you will now take to your licensing office for your city or your state to get your business license. You must have those three things to get your business license, because it shows that you're registered with the federal government and now you're registered with the state with these two. You take those three, you can now go apply for your business license. Isn't that cool? So now you're going to get your business license and you are officially ready to start your business and start making money. Now, let me throw a little caveat in there real quick. The minute you submit your paperwork, technically, you can start your business. You don't have to wait for it to come back in the mail. So if you have an event on Saturday and you mail your paperwork the Saturday before and you're still waiting, you don't have to cancel your event while you're waiting for your paperwork to come in because it's been submitted. It's processing. So you can operate your business, okay? Yes, you can. I know it's hard to believe, but you can, all right? So those are the things that you want to do as far as paperwork. Now, there's so much more I could talk about, and this can go on for hours and hours and hours. So I won't do that to you, but I wanted to make sure that I touched on the key things to getting your business started, okay? And I'm going to summarize for you. So the first thing you want to do is make a to-do list. And in my book, and this is a copy of my book, it gives you the to-do list and all the checklists. It gives you copies of the forms. It tells you the places to go. But you want to make a to-do list. Make yourself a checklist in order. What is your why? Make sure you have that done. You want to know the type of business you want, LLC, I would say yes, or a nonprofit, possibly. The type of business you want, check that off. Then you want to get into getting your business name, checking your business name and or registering your business name. So make sure you check on that. Then you get into the IRS and getting your tax ID, State Corporation Commission filing, and your business license. That's a part of your to-do list, all right? The next thing I say here is to identify agencies and their location because you want to know what these places are. You know, where is the State Corporation Commission on Main Street in Richmond? Where is my local court where I need to file my paperwork? It could be on 9 Mile Road if you're in Richmond, on Perrin Road, or if you're in Chesterfield, off of Ivory. So where do I go? You want to know where you go. So write down the locations and their phone numbers. I suggest getting a notebook. I love a spiral notebook with the plastic dividers in it. So you can start to keep all of your documents together in one place. All your applications, all the forms you get back, keep them all in one place, nice and neat. Consult with a business coach, someone like myself, or someone else that you trust that has a good understanding of business to make sure you didn't miss anything, because it can be overwhelming. It can be a little hard. So you want to make sure you have everything in place. And finally, I said, hey, you can just go to Amazon and purchase a copy of our book, and you have all the processes right there in one place. Okay. And the biggest and most important thing for you to do is to start your business today. Don't wait for everything to be perfect. Don't wait for everything to be in order. Just get it started. And as you get started, things will fall into place. And before you know it, you'll have a business up and running. And now's a good time while you're at home. Instead of eating everything and cleaning out the fridge, let's work on that business plan. Let's work on that strategy. Let's talk to mom and dad and let's get it up and running. Why not? Use the time to your advantage. I'm Marcy Williams. I hope that this was helpful for you. If you have any questions, here's my contact information. Definitely feel free to give us a call or send us an email. Visit on our website. We're also on all social media, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. You can find us anywhere. And I hope this was helpful for you. And I'm going to turn it back over to Kerwin to see if anyone has any questions.
All right, Marcy, thank you very much. That was a very thorough presentation on the different steps to take to get your business started. Does anyone have any questions? I know I have a few questions, but I want to wait to see if anyone else has any first before I ask mine. Just unmute yourself, and if you have any questions, then go ahead and ask Marcy. Don't be shy. I don't see anyone jumping out yet. So I have a couple questions. So the steps that you listed in your presentation, does that apply to all states? Because we have a few people who work with us that's from Pennsylvania. We have some in Florida. So just to know, again, does it apply to any of the 50 states?
I would say yes for the most part. Structurally, I would say follow that process. Now, when it comes to like for the banking piece, typically yes. But when it comes to the IRS piece, yes. State Corporation Commission, it depends on your state. I would check with them to see what the requirements are to operate a business in your area. But I would almost say yes to that as well because it's federal. There are federal guidelines that feed into how the State Corporation Commission for each state operates. So for the most part, I would say 99% yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, cool. All right. And then my second question is, I noticed when you spoke about the State Corporation Commission, that the paperwork for that, to file with them, you said to keep the answers simple. Why is that?
Well, because sometimes when you give too much information in describing your business and the services that you offer, it can kind of open up a can of a lot of questions. So, for example, if you're a young person and you want to start a babysitting business,
Okay.
and if you say that I'm going to be babysitting children, ages 3 to 6, I went to school and got my babysitting certification because my daughter did that. That's great. But if you write that I'm going to be babysitting some kids that are special needs or have autism, now you've gone a different direction of a specialty, even though that's what you love, because maybe your baby brother or baby sister is autistic or a neighbor, so you feel qualified to do that.
Right.
Don't say that because it takes you to a different direction of maybe now you need a special license that you as a young person won't have.
Got you. Understand. And I think I saw April Davis. She had her hand raised. I'll go ahead and unmute your mic, and you can ask your question. Here we go. All right, the mic is not unmuting. April, see if you can unmute your mic yourself and you can ask your question.
Okay. I'm Cameron, just on mom's computer.
Okay. Hi, Cameron.
Hi. So, I didn't get to see the whole thing. Do you know where I go to see like the whole thing?
What we'll do is after we finish the presentation, we're going to upload it to YouTube as well as post it on the in the Facebook page as well.
Okay.
All right. Any other questions?
Not for me.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Anyone else? Okay. I think that's all we have this evening, Marcy.
Okay.
Again, we want to thank you for taking the time out to do this presentation for us.
Absolutely.
I know it's very worthwhile information. It's very beneficial for our youth participants and their parents, because we've had several questions about how do they properly structure their business and the steps to take to register their businesses legally, with the state of Virginia. So thank you again for helping us out with that information.
You're very welcome. Thank you for having me. And as always, if you have questions, feel free to contact Kerwin or on my website or social media. If you have any more questions, I'll definitely be glad to help.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
And with that, we want to say goodnight to everyone. And until we'll connect again next weekend. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. Have a good evening.
You too.